Life for All presents Daily Food series, The Word of Life, The Fellowship of Life, and Living Stones for the Edification, the Epistles of John and Peter. Title of Book 3, Choose Life, by Pedro. Week 4, The Conclusion of John's Epistles. Sunday. The restoration is taking place. Read with prayer. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. 3 John, verse 11. As we saw earlier, John sent missionaries to the churches to care for them. They took John's words to the churches, and in doing so, they participated in the fellowship of life. Today, let us thank the Lord that we have a Life for All Institute, which dynamically takes the prophetic word to all places. When someone follows the prophetic word closely, he actively participates in the fellowship of life. Unfortunately, as we will read in the following verse, there were leaders at that time who did not accept John's words. I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have the preeminence among them, does not receive us. 3 John, verse 9. This was happening at the end of the first century. When we do not accept the prophetic word, we are left outside of the fellowship of life, and the tendency takes us towards spiritual death. Many times, we do not appreciate the prophetic word because of Satan's deception or the influence of the world. Some say, why only John? I can lead a group of people too. This is what Miriam and Aaron said to Moses. Has the Lord indeed spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken through us also? Numbers chapter 12, verse 2. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram said something similar. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you should keep acting like a prince over us? Chapter 16, verse 13. This kind of deception is spread by Satan. Even in John's time, some people disputed primacy, that is, preeminence in the Lord's work, because they thought they could do things on their own and did not need the word that came from the apostle. However, John gave a warning when referring to Diotrephes. Therefore, if I come, I will call to mind his deeds which he does, prating against us with malicious words. And not content with that, he himself does not receive the brethren, and forbids those who wish to, putting them out of the church. 3 John, verse 10. Diotrephes represents a group of church leaders of that time, and it is regrettable that he rejected both the person of John and the word of life that came from him. Diotrephes rejected John's authority as an apostle. The apostles have the authority over the churches for edification, not for destruction. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 8, and chapter 13, verse 10. That is why John said to Gaius, Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. 3 John, verse 11. Diotrephes was rebellious against the apostles. Not only did he not welcome the missionaries who came from John, but he also expelled the brothers and sisters who did. To imitate such a rebellious attitude is to practice evil. It is a pity that this began to happen at the end of the first century. These were signs that degradation had begun in the church. Some leaders did not accept God's government through the words of the Apostle John. They fought for preeminence, and this competition was the main cause of the church's degradation. The first shot fired by Satan hit precisely the word and the fellowship of life. The second shot gave rise to people like Diotrephes, who desired preeminence, a special place in the church, privileges and power. The third shot enabled the world to dominate Christians through the attachment to money. Thanks be to God that the Lord today has restored these three aspects damaged by Satan: the word of life and the fellowship of life, the function of all the members of the body, and the liberation from the slavery of money. This tripod is once again established. First, we love the word of life and live in the fellowship of life. Second, we reject the hierarchical system and any dispute over positions in the church. We fight for all the members to function. There have never been so many opportunities for everyone to serve: teenagers, young people, adults, older brothers and sisters. Everyone has a place in the service. Our young people have served as missionaries, preaching the gospel of the kingdom throughout the earth. The Lord has restored all of this, including the issue of money. Today, kingdom investors are being consolidated among us. The work of the Lord will have financial resources to progress in every region and throughout the earth. We have more and more GPCers being perfected and more colporteurs being trained to work on different continents. Thank the Lord for all that we are experiencing today. Jesus is Lord.